Jim Talent was senator from Missouri, also Congress from Missouri. You can follow him on the site formerly known as Twitter, now known as X, at his name, Jim Talent. Jim, I've spent most of the morning trying to explain to the audience why Donald Trump is beating Joe Biden by 20 points among voters under the age of 35. And I've been illustrating it by activities people ordinarily do on the weekends that you would not let the president do. Like, for example, mow the lawn on a riding mower. What did you do this weekend, Senator Talent, that you would not let President Biden do?
I grilled on my green egg, which is a very forgiving grilling and smoking system, which is very difficult, to mess up the meat with a green egg. And I'm afraid Biden would mess it up.
I don't know what a green egg is. You should be having a best hot grill from Solaire Grill, Senator.
It's not an acronym, though. That's the name of it. It's an enclosed ceramic system that looks like a green egg. Very forgiving. In other words, you really have to try to absolutely mess up the meat on one of those systems. They should pay you now. This is an advertisement. But Joe would mess it up.
I wouldn't let him grill anything. Nope, not a chance. So, Senator, what do you put that number down to? That 20-point number is a startling number among...
the American people don't like high inflation. They don't like surging crime. They don't like a border that's completely out of control. So we have unlawful migrants flooding our cities. They don't like what's happening in their schools. And they know that Biden is responsible. And, we do have to keep talking about his policies as well as his incapacity because...
let's talk about the attackums. Let's talk about the attackums. Yesterday, he announced Tom Cotton called for the giving of attackums to Ukraine in February, and that's the earliest reference. He might have done it in 2022 for all I know, but he did it in February 2023. 9 months later, the attackums have been approved. What do you make of the decision and the delay in making it?
He continues to make decisions, which must be wrong, okay, in the sense that there is no reason. There is nothing happening today that justifies sending them the attackums. That was not true last February, right? So if it's the right policy to send it today, it was the right policy to send it last February. Look, I understand those who say we shouldn't be supporting Ukraine at all. I don't agree with that, but that is a coherent policy. What is not coherent is to say, we should be supporting Ukraine, but now I'm going to give them something that I thought was too risky to give them 9 months ago. Nothing has changed.
So Jim, this is speculation, Senator. Complete speculation. I don't think the president is running the Ukrainian resupply or supply decisions. I think somebody else is making this decision and then finally maneuvering him to sign off on it. Who do you think is debating this in the White House? Who is doing this? Because it's an incoherent supply problem.
I think you're right, by the way. I think there's a lot of manipulation going on. This is what happens whenever you have a weak president, no matter what the reason is why he's weak. Well, it's the camps of people who have certain areas of responsibility or advisory authority over this issue. So it would be people within the National Security Council, the Department of Defense, the State Department. There are different camps. This is what's happened with the China policy, for example. There's a struggle among the subordinate actors because you don't have a strong and decisive, you have at best a mercurial leader at the top. And I'm sure that's what's happening here. But again, they end up with a policy that is indefensible. How do you defend that policy?
You can't defend it. And what it does is it destroys public support for the general proposition of defending Ukraine because there is no strategy being articulated by the president of the United States. I don't think he's ever given a speech on this.
Right, exactly. He has never explained. He should have explained probably in a speech to the Congress, but in any event, he should have scheduled a long time ago an explanation of what we were doing, why we were doing it, and what our end goals were. And he's never done it, nor has he delegated it to anybody else in the administration with a consistent decision-making authority to explain it. And as a result, the policy is it's out there wandering around. So even though I would say, this is one area where it's not a total fail, his policy, if it keeps going on like this, unless the Ukrainians get a breakthrough, which is possible, the policy is likely to fail just for lack of any kind of vigor or direction or strategy in pushing it. And this is what happens when you get a weak president.
We got a minute left, Senator. I'm kind of optimistic over the reports out of Ukraine. Are you?
Well, I'm more optimistic than I was a couple of weeks ago. They obviously have created a salient in the southern part of the country. Their object is clearly to be able to get close enough to the ground line of communications in Ukraine to so sufficiently threaten the supply lines that the Russians have to pull out of, Crimea, which is the strategic prize. I mean, if they have to do that, that's a tremendous gain for Ukraine and for us. And the ATACMS, see, that's one of the reasons ATACMS are good, because they allow you to hit lines of communication from further away. So I hope we get them.
And that's why they should have been there in February. That's better late than never, but boy, incoherent is as incoherent does. Jim Talent on X, the site formerly known as Twitter. Thank you, Senator. Coming right back, hour number 3 of this Monday edition of the Hugh Hewitt Show. What would you let Joe Biden do? Not run the green egg. We have a new addition to the list.